Rich, okay, it's hot. It's summer. One of the go-to things, because I know I have a lot of flavor pops. That was another one that we always had. It's what it is they're plastic tubes and they're filled with juice, and then you freeze those, and those are like we used to do those with cups, fill them up with Hawaiian punch or juice or whatever it is, Kool-Aid, and then we'd freeze them, and even water, soda, whatever. And those were raspas, or because we would scrape them with a spoon or whatever, or you just pop them over and you just lick them, eat them, or whatever, and they're popsicles. But the popsicle on a stick, that's another thing, with cream or without cream. But in this case, you are eating right now currently an orange Bluebell popsicle with no ice cream, I'm assuming.
No ice cream.
No ice cream. Is there a particular flavor that is your go-to flavor in that package of Bluebell popsicles?
Yeah, the green one.
Green one.
But I always eat the orange first, though, because nobody wants them.
Really? And these are all packaged individual, like by twos or individuals? Individuals. So then you go through the pack and stuff like that.
You see the color that was attached to?
Yeah, purple or grape.
Orange is always attached to grape.
So what is it about the green ones? What is it? Because I actually went in the flavor pops. I actually go for the green ones as well. I'll kind of eat some of the other ones, but it becomes a war sometimes because there's only like one green per so many pinks and reds and grapes and stuff like that. What is it about the green one?
Just the lime has that. Yeah, it has that citrusy bitterness or twang or whatever you want to call it. And that's the main attraction to it. Kind of like the opposite of what Skittles did when they changed their green one from lime to apple.
Since they brought it back to lime, have you revisited the Skittles, or you just don't partake?
No,
right now, there's a controversy with the Skittles that they're there's some lawsuits going on right now.
It just depends on if you end up getting the right bag or not. I mean, some stores still have old stock, and you end up getting green apple, and it's not the same.
Right.
Your mouth is expecting something and it doesn't come out.
Right. So you haven't tried the new lime, the packages with? Okay. Yeah, me too. I've actually searched and found the lime, and actually it transported me back to our days at the bowling alley, because I don't know what it was, but to me that it was. I didn't get Skittles before that, but I remember seeing them in the bowling alley, and I would always get the Skittles pack. When we were at the bowling alley, we would all pick, I guess, a different candy or whatever while mom was in the league or whatever, or when we were bowling. And, that was something that I would go to. I don't know. What did you get?
Horrible choice.
What did you pick when we were at the bowling alley?
Well, I'm just saying it's a horrible choice, especially at a bowling alley. You're putting your fingers in.
Right, you're putting the fingers in there.
Where thousands of people have put their fingers in a bowling ball.
But you know what?
We
didn't care about it back then.
Well, no, it made people stronger back then, but still, that's...
Yeah. And they used to smoke big time back then. And so the smoke was getting into all that stuff. What did you get actually from the vending machine when you were at the bowling alley?
I don't think I ever had enough money because you got Skittles all the time, right? I didn't have...
What do you mean? We had to share, or what? How did that work? I thought everybody got to get something, because I remember we were there with Lori and Jenny and all the mom's friends and stuff like that, and they had their kids, and we were all kind of we were like the little rascals in the bowling alley, something like that for a while there while they were bowling.
But we were the kids that I didn't like whenever I worked there.
The kids that just hung around and stuff like that. But so you don't recall getting something from the vending machines. Now, if you didn't, what do you recall from the deli, the little snack bar area that they had there? Is there something you recall getting there?
Oh, well, the French fries. I mean, either that or a burger. But that snack bar used to get me in trouble though when I worked there.
Oh, well,
yeah, because I'd go there as soon as I got to work, and I would make whatever I wanted using all the ingredients they had there.
So you're just making your own creation.
I would have a plate of enchiladas at the front counter because I worked at the front counter. Well, they had the tortillas from when they made the tacos or they made the chalupas.
So they
didn't make chalupas. They only made tacos
tostadas
or nachos. Yeah.
Tostada.
Pretty much. Not even that. It was just, so I would dip the tortilla
in the oil.
into the grease and bring it right back out while they were still soft. And then I'd bring out the cheese and the taco meat, and I'd roll them, put more cheese on top. Then I would heat them up and melt the cheese and get a little bit of the beans from the chalupas, put it on the side, and I'd have myself a plate.
Wow.
And I'd go to the front and eat it.
And people would wonder what the hell you're eating.
Yeah, they say, "Where'd you get that?" "Oh, the snack bar." And I'd get a phone call a couple of seconds later saying, "Why are you sending people back here asking for enchiladas?" I was like, I didn't. They asked where I got it from, and I made it in the snack bar.
There you go.
So then they get after me saying, "Well, why didn't you work in the snack bar if that's what you were going to do?" I said, "No, I don't work fast food."
Rico's Creations at the bowling alley. Did you ever have the ice cream there? I always thought the ice cream had a very, you know what? It reminded me of Frosties from Wendy's. And I don't know if it was because the way they made the ice cream, it was like churned like the old style with salt or something like that. I mean, I don't know how they made the ice cream there, but it always had a very distinct, like granular feel to the ice cream, like it was ice crystals or something like that.
Yeah, it's freezing. That's the freezing part in it.
It's churning.
It didn't have enough salt.
Okay.
And thus it would start to crystallize with ice. The salt, I think, is in there so that it doesn't freeze solid.
Right.
I think that's the reason they
keeps
put
it
the salt
loose.
in it.
Right. Yeah. It always reminded me of Frosty, for sure. And the chocolate was very, even though it was a chalky consistency, I don't know, it was just something that kind of stuck in my head most of the time.
Yeah, I didn't like chocolate, so.
Okay. Yeah. You growing up, you weren't a chocolate guy. You're the bunny, or actually the bunny, you didn't get bunnies. You would get like chocolate bunnies.
You would get the lamb or the white bunny with the blue eyes.
White chocolates, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And this was because of presumed allergy, or is it definitively defined that you did have an allergy?
I've never been tested for allergies.
Okay. But it was assumed, I guess, that you had some kind of allergic reaction to chocolate, or you just didn't like
chocolate.
Yeah,
something. I didn't like it, but it was also something that my throat would start getting all whatever. And then the same with strawberries, but I'd eat those. It didn't matter.
Okay. Very, very interesting.
But those I liked, but I didn't like the chocolate as much.
All right. Going back to the bowling alley, that a lot of people, if they don't know you, you were there, you were a fixture there for a long time. Back in the day, how would they do? Didn't they play music that was like right from the radio at some time when they would do midnight bowling, or they would just have music playing through that, and then you started bringing your own CDs, or was it just people had CDs anyway or tapes and they would do that, or is that something you brought to the table?
No, the assistant manager would bring his collection of CDs, and then I'd bring my collection of CDs, and because he didn't have the same music I had, and I had stuff he didn't have, so we would go off a request, whatever people would ask for there at the bowling alley. And
that was the beginning of like midnight bowling and stuff, because
the lights off and
right lights off kind of stuff, because that particular bowling alley, when it was the Ayers Bowling Alley, was a 24-hour institution for a long time, and then they stopped doing that, and then they would just kind of stay open late. And then I don't know, was that something like new in our area, the midnight turn off the light kind of bowling, or is that something that came on and off?
It was an AMF thing.
Okay. Promotion type thing.
Yeah, other companies or other bowling alley like the Hilltop and all of the others in the area at the time were also doing them. Saratoga Lanes, which is now Bolero. They all had their version of it, and it was sanctioned because the head pin would be a different colored head pin. If you got a strike with the head pin, you'd get, I think, a free game. They'd give you a coupon for a free game, and
they would have to get your attention before they could throw that ball.
So they'd verify that it was a head pin and that they did do a strike on it. So
okay, so that was that I remember those days. I remember all that kind of stuff. I remember the head pin. The head pin was always something that they kind of threw in as far as during the leagues, because there were money leagues, and then there were side bet leagues, and there were all kind of these various type of leagues. Yeah,
you get a shirt. You get different things for different times. Now going backwards, when we're talking about
popsicles,
you mentioned the flavor pops.
Flavor.
Do you get The flavor pops, or do you get the round ones, or are you talking about the flat ones that made the Joker with all the cut lines?
Yeah, those are the ones. That's the one we're getting. We got a big blue box. We open it up. There's like over 100.
Okay, so the blue box,
and it's got the little
You don't get the fishnet full.
I've gotten those before too, and actually those are bigger.
Yeah, those are bigger ones. Now, there's also a difference between the tropical flavors and then the regular flavors.
Yeah, regular flavors. They you know what threw me off was that when there's two different kind of greens. There's the light colored green, which is an apple, and then there's the other one that's more of a lime. They put more apples than limes, and when I'm looking for a lime and I grab that stupid apple one, it's like having the Skittles with the apples, and it throws me off. Because, well, let me ask you this: when it comes to Jello, I don't know if you're a Jello guy, but it's kind of hard to find the green Jellos. I think we actually talked about that. Did they discontinue that, or did they just make it harder to get? Or
I think it's
and they're sugar.
I think it's
when I find them, they're sugar. Okay, and when I find them, they're like sugar free ones, and I don't want to buy those ones.
Yeah, but you can just add sugar.
There you go. Well, no, like they're already pre. Gel.
Oh, you're talking about the cups?
Yeah, the cups and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Jello cups. Yeah. You're talking about making it yourself, old school style.
Yeah, Jello. It's Jello. We got molds. We got the Easter egg shaped molds. We got animal molds. We got I would try to get all the different molds I would see made by Jello so that I can try to see if we can get those jigglers made. It's extra sugar added into those so that they keep their shape when you pick them up.
I'm gonna throw this question out for any of our podcast listeners. If you currently still make your own Jello from the packets powder and you put them in molds and you put them in the bowl or you put them in whatever it is, let us know. Comment on our Facebook. Send us pictures of what you do with your Jello and what is your favorite flavor of Jello. I'm actually kind of curious, and we'll throw some photos and stuff like that of some of our favorite brands and colors. Through the history of Jello and pudding itself, there have been flavors that have come and gone and stuff like that. I'm going to bridge over to pudding. Is there a particular Jello pudding flavor that you like, that you like the most, or do you prefer Jello, like Jello gelatin?
I mean, I have to be in the mood, but I like the pistachio one.
Yep, that was the first one I was going to say.
And I remember doing an experiment with pudding in, might have been 4th or 5th grade, and
like a taste test, like the Pepsi challenge.
Yeah, with different colors. It was this vanilla brand or vanilla flavored Jello pudding, but we made a green one and a blue one and a red one, and it was just to see if the color would make you think it tasted different or not, or
Right. And they're fooling the mind.
Yeah, and then Miss Herta came over and started spraying it on with Windex because everybody kept going back for more. Experiment's done.
Oh,
get rid of it.
Goodness.
And she'd spray it and say nobody can have any more.
Who did that?
Miss Herta.
Oh gosh,
just because everybody kept wanting to get more getting more. So yeah, so she sprayed it so nobody would get any more.
Did anybody get any more?
It was no. No, if they did, their elbow probably wouldn't be hurting anymore.
Oh man,
because of the Windex.
So what did it prove? Did the color affect what they were they thought they were tasting?
Some people thought it made a difference, but I mean it didn't, because it's just the color.
It was just
food
dye.
Yeah, it was McCormick's food dye that we put in there.
Wow.
It's just like Big Blue and Big Red.
Right.
Same exact flavor, just a different color.
No.
Word.
It says Big Peach. What about Big Peach? Same thing?
No, Big Peach has a peach flavor.
Okay.
But Big Red and Big Blue are the same.
It's just 2 different colors. Or what about the pineapples? It does have that.
Yeah, it does have a pineapple
tangy taste. Wow, interesting. Interesting take on color and how that how did Big Blue come about? That people were just wanted to find a different drink to advertise, or what? How did that come about? It is from the same company that makes Big Red, correct?
Yeah, same company. It's just like saying, do you eat a right or a left Twix?
Correct. Okay, it's just another gimmick. A blue and a red, a left and a right Twix. Wow. Okay.
I know at least 3 or 4 people who only eat the left ones and won't eat right ones.
Really? Are they left-handed? No, they just prefer left Twix. Okay, interesting. Now, one thing that you always do for us is you're always, hitting Dollar Generals and stuff like that, and that's where all the weird variants and offshoot kind of snacks, drinks, and all this kind of stuff. Recently, what is the most unusual one that kind of caught your attention that you saw at a Dollar General or one of those Family Dollars that jumped out at you when you saw it on the shelf?
It wasn't only there, but they had it at a couple of other places. I think you even had it at Walmart, stuff like that, but the Flaming Hot Mountain Dew.
Yeah, no. So I'm imagining I would have never drank that. I know my kids tried it, and
I drank it.
and
I mean, you get a little bit of heat in the back of your throat, and that's about it.
So what did it taste like? I mean, I know I've tried the chip, and I just can't get into it.
I want to say it's just like a citrusy soda, but with a little bit of heat. So they have different flavors. Of course, the flaming one. They had the only place I saw it at was Circle K's with the purple Mountain Dew,
Right.
Purple Power or something like that. And not to be mistaken with that Thunder one that they had, which was also purple. Dollar General has specific flavors, like exclusives for certain Jolly Ranch flavors and different things like that. Single flavored bags that you can only get them at Dollar General.
Dollar General has always had variations of bags for the chips. I saw these retro Cheetos bags. I saw the retro Dorito bags. I've seen different flavors that have appeared from time to time. I've seen the like you had mentioned before, the different, like the RC. Actually, when you posted that RC, and I'm going to show the picture and we'll share it on the Migas podcast website. There is a berries and cream RC cola. I don't know how many variants that RC has produced over the over the years, but that one actually intrigued me. And the thing was, it wasn't a regular can of soda. It was more like a tall boy, so to speak, style. A lot more ounces in the drink, and I thought it wasn't that bad. I think I still prefer regular RC than the berries and cream. I don't know if you actually tried that when you shared that out. But
yeah, I tried it.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, I've always associated RC Cola with our aunt, Angie. I don't know why. I think that they were always drinking RC. I believe they always had it readily available or something like that. They just drank it more frequently than other places. I don't know what it was. And for a while, I know it was available. You could get it anywhere, but it didn't jump out from the shelf, usually like Coke and Sprite and whatever else and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. um Going back to you were basically DJing, so to speak, at the bowling alley and stuff like that. I see that you were in a Tears for Fear shirt. You actually got to see Tears for Fear live, which I'm very envious that you got to see them. I've seen them on play live pieces, on the internet and stuff like that. And I would have to say that their band is like spot on, you know, high caliber musicianship, and they just seem like top notch players, and it didn't seem like they've lost a beat. I mean, you got to, I'm not too familiar with a lot of their catalog, other than maybe some of the hits and stuff like that. But I mean, is that pretty much the way their show was? Was it pretty much all hits, or did they play some new stuff, or
No, they're promoting their new album.
So they perform as a band that is still promoting new material along with their catalog of back material.
Yeah, so I guess you can say, I'd relate it to, I've seen Iron Maiden 6 times. The first time you were there with me, and so was Nick. It was the Somewhere Back in Time tour. Then they did a subsequent show after that, which I guess you could say they put out a new album, The New Frontier. And around that time is when they started redoing all their anniversary tours and stuff like that. They did the 1988. Right. They got the same opener act that they had before. So it was
like the whole program, the whole thing,
the whole set was everything. And they even had Megadeth opening for them, just like they did in 1988.
Wow.
But it was a big difference between seeing Somewhere Back in Time, which was every hit that they ever had from the old albums.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I went to the New Frontier, and it was a brand new album that had come out, and the majority of the stuff was New Frontier. And you can feel the difference in the crowd, kind of like they wanted the older stuff. They wanted it, but that's not what they were getting. And fortunately for Nick, though, they did play Wrathchild, and they hadn't played it at any other show. And he said, it's coming on right when it was about to come on. And sure enough, they played it. And he goes, they did it because I'm here. And but that was just like an oddity. I checked the set list from the previous 5 shows, and none of them ever they didn't play it at any of those shows. So
I think that's awesome. That was where did you catch them on that tour?
On the New Frontier, I believe was at I think that one was at the AT&T Center.
Okay. The thing is
that in San Antonio.
That reminds me of when we saw David Bowie, and he did Outside. He wasn't doing a revival, hey, I'm playing all my hits and stuff like that. He legitimately came out and said, I'm playing this album. And I think it just threw everybody off because they were expecting to hear Heroes, Space Oddity, and all Fame and all this stuff. And he did not play any of those things. The only time you got throwback songs was in the crossover between Nine Inch Nails crossing over into David Bowie. And to the shock for me, was the mass exodus that ended up happening when the David Bowie section actually started. I mean, here is this living legend that, Austin, Texas is, able to see, but then you start seeing people walk away from the stage and make their way to the exits, and they are leaving because David Bowie. These are like young Nine Inch Nails fans that, obviously have no, I don't know, call it for wherever you want. I just thought it was just, how could these people be, leaving, while, David Bowie is here, playing, this massive, music. He was being an artist. He was really embracing what he was presenting, and was hoping you would, be part of the spectacle that he was providing. But, I mean, I knew the album because I had the album, but I guess, if you didn't know it, I mean, obviously these are just new songs, and that can throw some people off. Like you're saying, Iron Maiden playing a bunch of songs that aren't necessarily the hit songs, but they're actually trying to, they're trying to play a new album for you. And that can be pretty tough. Do you want to see the Kiss where they play everything that you're familiar with, and they avoid, anything that was brand new or whatever, or maybe they'll just throw in one track, and the newest track would be something from Psycho Circus. They don't even play anything else. They don't create anything new. It's just, they all want to hear the hits. They just play the hits, and it's the same thing over and over. Much less a band that is like The Cure. They will play those new tracks from the new album, and they will play like 5 songs from that album, promoting that new album, even if you're not familiar with it. I mean, they want you to become familiar with that. So that is something that, I have noticed in recent time, of how bands are promoting their stuff and all that. So it's kind of interesting. Iron Maiden, their new stuff, they're doing pretty much the same thing. They're playing a lot of that new album, in promotion.
Because the tour right before was the Number of the Beast 40th anniversary.
Right.
So they did
entirety,
all the classic stuff, and then now they're promoting their new album.
So, okay, well, let me ask you this: when they're playing that album as an anniversary, they're playing that album in its entirety as much as possible, right? Or not really, loosely, or not even?
Yeah, I'm thinking probably loosely, playing like the key songs out of the album. I don't think they're doing like the sleeper ones and the deep cuts and stuff like that.
Right. Not like the Cure. The Cure will play the whole thing, and they'll do.
When I saw Rush, it was moving pictures in its entirety.
Okay.
That was the whole thing. It was 3 hours of Rush, so it wasn't just moving pictures. They threw a bunch of other stuff in there too. But
a section
3 hours of Rush.
A section was going to be the album. Very interesting. It's interesting that bands that actually do that and embrace, the plane of an album. I saw a documentary of the Sparks. I don't know if you saw that. Those two guys, and they, very avant-garde musicians. Well, what they did was they learned every song from every album, and they performed every album like every night. They were playing an entire album in its entirety from their whole career, regardless if it was whatever. And I thought, man, I can't imagine a band, other than Rush. I think Rush would, back in the day would have attempted that. But to play their albums in the entirety from their whole career, back to back to back to back, that has to be crazy.
Well, look at bands playing other people's albums completely in their entirety. You got
Primus guy. What's his name? Les Claypool.
Yeah. He did
the Rush album.
He did the Rush album.
Yeah.
And he did it in its entirety.
Trey Anastasio. Well, he's a guitar player in that, or in one of their offshoot bands. Oysterhead, I think that's what it's called. And so their band, Fish, has always been known to, they'll pick an album and they play that in its entirety as a tribute or whatever it is, and it's like a challenge for themselves. And they did that for a while. They would play albums like that and stuff like that. I'm all paranoid. I'm thinking there's something on me. But anyway, but no, that's yeah.
Like for Tears for Fears, just to give you an idea, loosely listening to the new album before the show,
mm-hmm. Get kind of in the groove,
and stuff like that, just to see what it sounded like. And there's some really good songs out of it, and it's, I don't know if you go through and you listen to their whole library, there's certain stuff you can tell that they played it a certain way, that their music was a certain in a certain vein, and you're like, oh well, yeah, those were hits. Oh wait a minute, that song that's the only one that sounds like a 90s or late 80s sounding new wave type song, and then all of a sudden everything else sounds different than that one song. But it was actually, they touched on all those songs throughout, and I think it was Mad World. Okay. Mad World, when you're listening to the older stuff, it's kind of like, wait a minute, if they would have gone this vein, it's very Depeche Mode sounding with that.
Yeah, song. The very early electronic that era, very much.
But it was that one song out of the album. Everything else didn't sound like that one song. And if they would have gone that direction, it would have been a different band altogether, But it was a good show. It was a really good show. But Tears for Fears ended the whole show with Shout. So you had to wait for the whole show till you got probably their biggest hit out of them. But I don't know. Was that one their biggest hit, or was that just?
I thought everyone rules the world. I thought that was the quintessential.
And then Sowing the Seeds of Love was their Beatles song.
Yeah, that was,
Oasis
we became we were super hit, and we decided, that became Oasis, our Sgt. Pepper's.
Oasis copied us song.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of production on that one. That was, there was a lot of pressure. They had, that album. And that album with not Sowing the Seeds, I'm sorry, the one with Shout, Everyone Wants to Rule the World and all that. That carried over for a good 3-year gap. That was, the way it separated their songs. It was in movies.
Now, you remember the Mad World song, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the one where the guitar player stands out on a pier the whole thing while they're filming the bass player inside singing.
Right.
And the guitar player is just dancing outside on a pier, and that's it. That's all he does in the whole.
Right. The whole video. Thing. Yeah. And then it has a resurgence later on with Donnie Darko. Somebody else ends up covering the song, and then it's all in a different tone. And a lot of people, get to revisit that song and forgot that Tears for Fears actually did it, because it was a different vibe and tone and all that kind of stuff than what it was. Speaking on that, we got a couple of minutes before our Migas is done, but is there another show that you're looking forward to coming down the line? I know that you had to put a pause on things for a little bit, but is there something else that you're kind of anticipating or that you're looking forward to seeing?
Earlier this year, I did get to see Coldplay on their opening U.S. date for their tour, which I think they're listed as the highest grossing act for this year so far. And they had way fewer shows than most would have. I mean, they're playing arenas, so I think it was something like 90,000 or 50,000 people at the Cotton Bowl, something crazy. We saw the Killers, and that was on Easter. And we saw the third show of 3 different shows that they did, and each show they played a little bit of a different set list. And they didn't play one of the songs I wanted to hear, but they didn't play some of the songs I heard on the other, the other shows, and they sold out of like all their merch.
Well, I mean, but they played, let's get that in perspective. They actually played several days. So, that's actually good for them. I mean,
yeah, but they're locals.
Okay.
They're locals for Vegas. So you would think, just go to the house and pick up another box of shirts.
Yeah, pick up another box of shirts.
All they had was a white shirt that just said Killers on it. That's what they had left by the time we got there. Yeah. I was like,
the lamest shirt. Real basic.
We ended up ordering some shirts online.
They have dates on them or no?
No. They got to the house though. By the time we got home driving, they showed up at the house. So it was kind of like, oh wow, they're already here.
Let me ask you this. I know that you've seen a lot these bands, different bands and stuff like that are not just metal or rock and roll or something like that. Is having dates on the shirts, is that like kind of the bands don't do that as much anymore?
No, they do. They do.
Okay.
It's just like I said, they were sold out.
Right.
Yeah, they were sold out. I mean,
and so the tour shirt, the specific tour shirt was not available. Tour shirt is always the coolest grab to get at a show. Hey guys, at the Migas Podcast here. If you have a favorite shirt from a tour that actually has the dates of the show that played in your city and stuff like that, why don't you send us a picture and let us see what that favorite shirt is that you have of your favorite band and the date that they played at your hometown. I remember our neighbor had sold a lot of their son's concert shirts at a garage sale, and I'll tell you this, a lot of those were actually some really cool shirts. We're talking about like Blizzard of Oz with Randy Rhoads on the shirt. There were some what is it, the Beast Texas in Texas, and whenever Iron Maiden made a Texas shirt, it was very specific to the Texas part of the tour, and then those had some dates too. So it's always interesting to see if they make a specialty shirt for your area and stuff like that. So if you got something like that, please share it on the Migas Podcast Facebook, or drop us a line and shoot it our way and let us know what your favorite shirt is. We want to thank you for listening, and we'll catch you in the next time on the Migas Podcast. Thank you for listening.